Virtual pilgrimage into the itinerary of Ravening Wolff. This video presents a glimpse of the places that are directly connected both in a smaller and a greater way to the holy founder of the Society of Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Reverend Father Mathias Wolff, S.J. He lived through the years from 1779 to 1857, and geographically his life journey is through 4 countries in Europe: Luxembourg, Belgium, Germany and the Netherlands. Let's briefly travel through each country, focusing on the important places in the life of the Luxembourg Jesuit. It's a pilgrimage, a holy visit and an experience of holiness.
The birthplace of Mathias Wolff got its name when, in the 8th century, Charles I considered this place as one of the places of settlements with resettled pagan Saxons, and built a church to convert them to Christianity, giving the place the name Ditkirch, which means People's Church in ancient German. This church was placed under the patronage of the Roman martyr Lawrence. The little Wolff was baptized in this church, and in later years he served the same parish from 1803 to 1807 as an assistant parish priest. And now this church campus, with its ruins, is maintained as a city museum. On entering the city, one's attention is drawn to the numerous images, sculptures and portraits of the donkey. The donkey is the town's mascot, because donkeys were the only animals capable of dealing with the terrain and peasants in Diekirch. Normally, roosters are seen on the church steeples, but in Diekirch, the donkey on the old St. Lawrence Church steeple draws everyone's attention. In 1867, the new church was constructed on the site of the Franciscan monastery church. Seemingly, it is to this Franciscan church the boy Wolff accompanied his father every morning at 5 a.m. in the summer and 6 a.m. in the winter to attend the Holy Mass. Also, this must be the place where, as a child of 4 years, Wolff has the memory of his mother's rebuke, not to talk in the church, when he pulled her by the skirt, commenting on the narrow pants of the Jew on the Stations of the Cross.
Derenbach is a cheerful village of Luxembourg, situated in the forest of the Ardennes. The forest of the Ardennes is located primarily in Belgium and Luxembourg, but stretching as well into the regions of France and Germany. The boy Wolff frequented this village as his paternal uncle, Joseph Wolff, was parish priest there. It was here he was prepared for and received the first Holy Communion, and on this occasion, Mathias uttered a wish to become a priest, saying, "I want to be a priest, sing and preach and teach others." The boy Wolff began his Latin lessons here in the year 1790. It is to this village Wolff returned as a priest in the year 1802 and celebrated his first Mass in the presence of his uncle, Father Joseph Wolff, and many other priests. At present, Derenbach is thinly populated, with a small chapel at the entrance and a beautiful church slightly away from the village.
Having been introduced by his uncle to the task as a priest at Derenbach, Father Wolff was given his first appointment as a curate at Dudelange to assist the parish priest Beaver.
Dudelange is another village in Luxembourg, in which Father Wolff was a parish priest from 1809 to 1815. The book Ravening Wolf, a biographical sketch of the Luxembourg Jesuit, presents few incidents that express the zeal, the kindness, and the priestly heart of Father Wolff. The incident of the poor man asking for milk at his presbytery in Dudelange, and another scary event of carrying the sacrament to the sick man through the woods of Dudelange in a stormy night, and being attacked by a robber, are examples of thousands of such marvelous events. His biography also says that the locals remember his 4 primary traits even after half a century. They are his energy, his unflagging zeal for the education of the youth, his sense of humor, and his love for the poor and the sick.
Podersberg is another village, a substation of Dudelange parish, where Father Wolff carried out his priestly ministry every Sunday afternoon and took special interest to offer religious education to the youngsters.
Metz is a city located at the junction of France, Germany, and more towards the border of Luxembourg. The control of Metz has shifted between Germany and France for decades. Since 1944, it is restored to France and is now a beautiful city in France, housing a famous Gothic cathedral, known for its massive stained glass windows. Monseigneur Geoffrey, the Bishop of Metz, appointed a young priest, Mathias Wolff, to teach in the minor seminary of Metz.
The history of the Abbey of Stavalo, a Benedictine monastery, goes back to the 7th century. This abbey was founded by Saint Remacle around the years 648 to 651. During the French Revolutionary War, the abbey was abandoned by the monks. Celestin Thèse was the last prince abbot of the monastery. It was to this monastic school the boy Wolff was sent by his uncle Joseph Wolff to study Latin from the year 1791 to 1794. This is the school where Wolff won 99 prizes for academic brilliance, and an elderly Jesuit exclaimed, "What a marvelous Kirchdonke, carrying off so many and even the best of prizes." Today, we still see the parts of ruins of the abbey, some parts of which are restored and used as a museum, exhibiting the complete history of the Benedictine monastery. The educational institutes of Saint Remacle continue to function to this day.
Rumbeke Castle is one of the oldest castles in Belgium. Its history could be traced back to the 9th century, although at that time it was probably more a lightly fortified farm than a real castle. In 1479 it went to the Counts of Thiene, who had the present structure of the castle built. The castle suffered damages during the invasion by Louis XIV of France in the 17th century, and later also during the French Revolution. Shortly after Napoleon's defeat in Russia, in 1814 Pope Pius VII revived the Society of Jesus, and the 22 aspiring novices of the order were housed at this castle, and it was known as a house for spiritual exercises. On February 13th, 1815, Father Wolff, the parish priest of Dudelange, arrived at the Jesuit novitiate at Rumbeke and began the novitiate to realize his dream of becoming a Jesuit. At present, Rumbeke Castle is rented out and used as an office by a company. Sometimes exhibitions are held.
Napoleon's escape from the island of Elba to France was again a problem for the revived order of the Jesuits. As a result, the novices were relocated from Rumbeke Castle to Succa Castle in Destelbergen near Ghent. The oldest historical records of this castle go up to the 16th century. The castle name comes from the Italian noble family de Succa. This castle had several owners throughout the years, and by April 1815, when 22 novices of the Jesuits moved there, it belonged to the Gobert family. It is now an unnoticed heritage center in the town of Destelbergen. There is also a little chapel on the side of the castle called Bergenkruiskapel, Mountain Cross Chapel.
Ghent and Namur. These are the cities in Belgium to which the first candidates of the Society of Jesus, Mary, Joseph were sent for their initial formation with the Sisters of Our Lady of Namur. They were first sent to Ghent, accompanied by Father Wolff from Culemborg, and later some of them were also sent to the Mother House of Sisters of Our Lady of Namur, which is in Namur. The candidates of the Society of Jesus, Mary, Joseph were trained with the Sisters of Our Lady of Namur from 1819 to 1824.
The city of Cologne in Germany is the most important place in the life of Father Wolff. In 1799, the French government compelled the young boys of Luxembourg to join the army to serve the French Revolution. At this time, providentially, Wolff escaped to Cologne and began his higher studies in philosophy and theology at Cologne University. The huge complex of Cologne University and its church from the 13th century is one of the famous attractions in Cologne, and since the 16th century, the university complex was under Jesuit management until the suppression of their order. Despite the suppression of the Jesuits, their services at the Cologne University were continued under the city's supervision. It is here Wolff found a fatherly friend and a counselor regarding his vocation to the priesthood, in the old Jesuit priest, Father Knipschild. The Basilica of Saint Ursula in Cologne is another important place for Wolff. While he was a student of Cologne University, he went from one church to another, searching for a model who would inspire him. It was here Wolff found Reverend Asterius, a Capuchin. Wolff frequented this church to listen to Father Asterius, and never missed his sermons and tried to imitate his style of preaching as a young priest in later years. Cologne Cathedral, which stands close to the river Rhine, is one of the tallest twin-spired churches in the world and the second tallest in Europe. Its history goes back to the 13th century, and it preserves the relics of the three wise men from the East. As it is the seat of the Archbishop of Cologne, probably it is here Wolff was ordained as a priest by Monsignor de Merle, suffragan Bishop of Cologne, on the 25th of April, 1802.
As a Jesuit, the first assignment of Father Wolff, with his companion Father de Hask, was to Culemborg in the Netherlands, where the rule of Protestants hindered the practice of Catholicism. Wolff's courage and determination to defend the Catholic faith brought him several times before the town council at the Culemborg town hall. The market area of Culemborg, around which we find the church, the city gate and the town hall, speaks volumes of Father Wolff's courage as he boldly preached the Catholic faith in and around this area. One of the important tasks of Father Wolff and Father de Hask, while defending the Catholic faith in Culemborg, was to renovate the dilapidated Catholic Church. The renovated new church was inaugurated on All Saints' Day in 1817, and later on, in the year 1886, at the same spot, the present church was constructed and dedicated to Saint Barbara. The painting, Seat of Mercy, from 1628, always hung above the altar in the church at the time of Father Mathias Wolff. It is still preserved and honored in the side chapel of St. Barbara Church. At the same churchyard, Father Wolff was buried with his other Jesuit companions. In the year 1923, the mortal remains of Father Wolff were exhumed and placed at Maria Kroon in the Ridderstraat. And in the year 1957, a small chapel was built on his tomb, and the path leading to this chapel is named after Wolff as Wolfpad. The JMJ Sisters began Maria Kroon Convent and School in the year 1852 in memory of the Golden Jubilee of Father Wolff's priestly ordination.
But I am so proud of our first sisters in Amersfoort, because they had such a difficult start.
Amersfoort was the culminating point for both the girls of Culemborg and Utrecht, who were desiring to commit themselves for the service of humankind through the education of young girls. Thus, Amersfoort becomes the place of foundation of the Society of Jesus Mary Joseph in the year 1822. Father Wolff frequently traveled in disguise as a merchant or farmer from Culemborg to Amersfoort to instruct and direct his sisters. The first house of the JMJ Sisters was in the wall houses, Muurhuizen. These are the houses built on the first original defense ring around the city. These wall houses are typical for Amersfoort and are designated as national monuments. In the same wall houses was the first mother house of Society of Jesus Mary Joseph, with Matthias Dichters as the first superior general until this foundation at Amersfoort got separated, as the Sisters of Our Lady of Amersfoort and the Society of Jesus Mary Joseph in the year 1840. It was here, in the Church of St. Francis Xavier, the first members of the Society of Jesus Mary Joseph professed their vows in 1824.
JMJ Sisters in Amersfoort are on the move with great enthusiasm to educate the young girls. Thus, they were invited to open a boarding school at Engelen in the year 1828, which becomes the second house of JMJ Sisters after Amersfoort. And in later years, after the separation of the society, this house becomes the mother house of the JMJ Sisters in the year 1840, with Sister Clara Landman as the Superior General. Engelen House, Our Lady of Lourdes Convent, has a connecting passage to the Church of St. Lambertus, which was established in 1285, with a lake view opposite to the house. Probably this might have been the waterway that Father Wolff travelled to help the sisters in their spirituality and mission. Little away from the convent, we witness a war memorial with the names of JMJ Sisters, along with other people of Engelen, who died in artillery fire in 1944.
Nijmegen is the birthplace of Jesuit saint Peter Canisius. To this city, Father Wolff was sent as a parish priest to the Church of St. Ignatius in the year of 1834 and continued his pastoral work with utmost zeal for the souls until 1846. This church was rededicated to St. Peter Canisius on his canonization in 1925. The church we now see is the new church renovated after the destruction in the bombing of 1944. The small wooden statue of Our Lady of Nijmegen, present in the side chapel of the church, is dating back to the 16th century. This was presented to Father Wolff by Mr. Anton van Veersen in 1836, and Father Wolff placed it in the church and helped people to grow in devotion to Our Lady of Nijmegen. The statue miraculously survived the bombings of 1944 and is preserved to this day. JMJ Sisters began a school in Nijmegen in the year 1829 at the request of Father Brusseler, who was the parish priest before Father Wolff. The war memorial, the schommel, the swing, is built in the memory of the people who died in the bombings of 1944. Those 763 who died included 24 children and 8 sisters from JMJ school. Since 1840, Father Wolff traveled often from Nijmegen to Engelen and other convents on a boat journey down the river Waal to help JMJ sisters in their commitment and ministry.
In the year 1970, the mortal remains of Father Wolff were moved from Maria Kroon in Culemborg to the JMJ Sisters cemetery in Heeswijk, where he is venerated to this day.
Also very interesting is he was a Jesuit priest, but before he entered he was a priest already.
Yes.
But how is the relation between his being a Jesuit and being a pastor? Yeah, he was a real popular pastor.
Yes.
Yeah, real popular. Yeah.
This journey to the land of Father Wolff is a transformational and a life-changing experience for me. This historical knowledge shed light into the spirituality of Father Wolff, leading to my own self-knowledge.
Father Wolff was a real soldier. He escaped army only to fight all through his life. No hardship could resist him from doing God's will. He was a tough man with kind heart.
For me, this has been a tangible experience of Father Wolff's personality. His spirit of service, compassion, commitment, and perseverance are still felt in the atmosphere of these villages and cities. It's an experience of he is alive.
Change me into thyself, dear Lord, that I may live in thee and for thee alone. May my happiness on earth consist in fulfilling thy holy will. Amen.